200, die 103, 400, die 200, die 103, 400.
irgendwie ist irgendwas mit dem Ton, weil wenn ihr irgendwas einblendet, höre ich nichts. Immer wenn Bilder kommen, höre ich nichts. Also immer wenn irgendwas einblendet, höre ich nichts.
The warm-up acts ahead of the biggest game of the season for freshly minted Google Pixel Frauen Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich. The trip to Bremen provides the filling of the Spanish sandwich in the Champions League semi-finals. And after a hard-fought 1-1 draw against Barcelona in the first leg of their Final Four tie at the Allianz Arena, the 8-time German champions will today look to maintain momentum before travelling to the Catalan capital on the weekend. Having won the Meisterschale for a 4th straight season, the league leaders can afford to drop points. But the club philosophy combined with the Mir San Mir mentality means that nothing but victory is acceptable here at Platz 11. The question is, will Bayern be the side to hand Werder Bremen their first home defeat of the season? James Surrogate on the mic, extending the warmest of welcomes to a match that we're hoping will prove well worth the wait. Initially scheduled to take place in February, heavy snowfall forced the game to be postponed. Tonight, we're being treated to glorious sunshine with the game squeezed in between a defining doubleheader for Bayern Munich. Last season, the Bavarians made history by winning their first ever domestic double. This season, they want to keep treble dreams alive. They wrapped up the Frauen Bundesliga title this time last week with a high-octane 3-2 win against Union Berlin. They've booked their ticket to the DFB Pokal final in just over a fortnight's time. And at Europe's top table, they're in with the chance of reaching the Champions League final for the first time ever in club history. From playing second fiddle to Wolfsburg 5 years ago to now being the dominant force in German women's football, even if Bayern do fall short against Barcelona in that second leg on Sunday, this is all building towards a very bright future. But Larissa Mühlhaus and Werder Bremen are here to crash Bayern's title celebrations, hoping that the league leaders might be distracted, leaving the door open for them to, at the very least, preserve their unbeaten home record in what is their penultimate home game of the season at Platz 11, and the penultimate game at Platz 11 for Larissa Mühlhaus, who is set to join Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer. Top goal scorer this season for Bremen, top goal scorer all time in the Frauen Bundesliga for Werder. She will leave big boots to fill. Let's take a look at the team sheets. Bremen head coach Fritzi Kromp switching to a 5-woman back line to keep a Bayern side who have scored 120 goals in all competitions at bay. There are 2 changes as Juliana Wirtz makes way for Lara Schmidt, who slots in at the heart of defence. Elsewhere, Lena Petermann replaces Medina Desic as she forms a front 2 alongside Maya Sternad. Anna-Lena Heidenreich, the woman with the whistle. Now a look at the Bayern side. Something you don't see too often as Jose Barcola makes 11 changes to the team that drew 1-1 with Barcelona on Saturday. For Caroline Simon, the start of her farewell tour after announcing her move to Leverkusen in the summer. 17-year-old Luzi Zeringer and 18-year-old Laila Portela both feature in a Frauen Bundesliga starting lineup for the first time in their young careers. And up front, Spanish striker Edna Imare will look to add to an impressive record of 5 goals in 7 league games since having her loan with Real Sociedad cut short by Bayern in light of Lea Schüller's decision to move to Manchester United. Jose Barcola admitting that he had to rotate his side once to keep the whole squad active, and ultimately is clearly protecting his star players ahead of that second leg against Barcelona. And maybe, just maybe, for Werder Bremen, the chance to do something historic in the midst of a record-breaking season, as they have never taken points off of Bayern Munich. Maybe, just maybe, the opportunity has never been greater. Fritzi Kromp has done remarkable things as Bremen head coach since taking over in the summer. They enjoyed a record-breaking season in the previous campaign in terms of points and wins, and they've gone even better in the current campaign and might clinch their best ever finish. Caroline Simon, she's set to join Leverkusen in the summer and joins Georgia Stanway in starting her farewell tour with Bayern. It is the filling in freshly minted Frauen-Bundesliga champions, Bayern München's Spanish sandwich. Werder Bremen, though, are here to leave a sour taste in the champions' mouths. It's Bremen's unbeaten home record against Bayern's unbeaten league record. But how will the Bavarians fare as head coach Jose Barkala makes 11 changes to his starting lineup? James Thorogood, your match commentator. Delighted to have the pleasure of your company. Welcome to Platz 11, where Werder Bremen have won 7, drawn 4 so far this season. We are on the banks of the River Weser in one of the more picturesque cities in Germany, the city of Bremen, nestled in the north. There's plenty of movement in the German women's football scene in the north of Germany, and Werder Bremen are at the forefront of it thanks to the work done by Friederike Kromp. Did not have an easy job taking over from Thomas Horsch, who had been at the helm for 9 years and ultimately was the man that stopped Bremen yo-yoing between the top 2 tiers of German women's football. And Kromp was previously untested at the highest level, but she has smashed all manner of club records with Bremen in her debut campaign. They start tonight 8 points behind third place Eintracht Frankfurt, which if you'd offered Werder Bremen at the start of the season, they would have bitten your hand off at the prospect of closing the gap on the teams that were above them in the standings last campaign. A lot of eyes will be on Larissa Mühlhaus tonight, given her decision to join Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer. 23 goals she scored in almost 2 seasons now with Werder Bremen in the Frauen-Bundesliga, making her the club's all-time record goal scorer in the league. This season, 4th in the goal-scoring charts, 13 goals to her name. Only Pernilla Harder, Vanessa Fudala, and the new leader in that particular department, Selina Cerci, can top the 13 goals scored by Larissa Mühlhaus, but Mühlhaus has done it in rather unique fashion and in record-breaking fashion as well, because 9 of those 13 goals have come from the spot, breaking the record held by Pernilla Harder, who had scored 8 penalties in a single season, and now Mühlhaus has that best mark all to herself with 9. Barbara Dunst looking for the cheeky touch but can't take it in stride. Bremen trying to play their way out from the back. Bravery being shown. Michelle Ulbrich spent the second half of last season on loan with Bayern München and won a domestic double with them before rejoining Bremen in the summer. Got to think, as a loan spell goes, that's a pretty successful one. Claiming a Frauen-Bundesliga winners medal and a DFB Pokal winners medal as well. Hannah Nimmet almost holding on to the ball a touch too long there. Now Michelle Ulbrich. Back to Mariella El Sharif, who was in such wonderful form during the international break with Austria in that doubleheader against Germany. Couldn't really take any of the blame for conceding 5 in the first fixture, but a 0-0 draw, a very stubborn result from Austria, and she made some pivotal saves throughout those 90 minutes. The Werder Bremen goalkeeper, Jose Barkala, in what is his debut season on the Bayern hot seat. It could not be going better. Talked about needing to keep the players in the right rhythm. Says that for Bayern today it'll be a big challenge in striking the balance and maybe figuring out when to bring the big guns off the bench. Barkala, I'm sure, will be hoping that he doesn't need to. The second string of Bayern players should be hungry and chomping up the bit, given the opportunities afforded to some of them tonight. Can't be said of Caroline Simon, who Barkala described as a club legend. 7 years on the Bayern books after joining from Lyon. She won plenty of titles with the Champions League record title holders, and she's won plenty of titles now with Bayern as well, and been a big part in the club's rise to prominence. She's returning to Leverkusen as well, where she spent 3 years between 2013 and 2016 in the earlier stages of his career, where Leverkusen were a very different team back then. And Simon now will provide reinforcements as Leverkusen look to close the gap on the likes of Frankfurt, Wolfsburg and Bayern München. Here is Simon. Imade making a nice run. Seringer. 2 teenagers getting some nice early confident touches for Bayern as well. Padilla Bidas to Caruso. Crowded out the Italian, and Mühlhaus wins the ball back for Bremen. Oh, bit of a costly slip there, and Portella's in. Portella! Denied by El Sharif, and the follow-up is into the side netting from Natalia Padilla Bidas. Well, El Sharif to the rescue. A slip by Hannah Nemeth, or a trip, I should say, by Hannah Nemeth. And then a slip by Lara Schmidt. And Laila Portea, in what is her first ever start in the Frauen Bundesliga, denied what would have been a highlight moment. Lovely bit of ingenuity just to weave past the Bremen bodies that had lost their footing. Those are the types of mistakes that Bayern normally punish, and you really rarely can afford in a game like this if you're Werder Bremen, but they got away with that scare. There really is no doubting that Mariella El Sharif is a very talented young 21-year-old goalkeeper. And that was a reason that many thought that Werder Bremen might drop off in the current campaign, because Livia Peng, who left to join Chelsea in the summer, was arguably the best goalkeeper in the Frauen Bundesliga last season. Fritzi Krom has shored up Bremen's backline, and in Mariella El Sharif, she's found a very worthy replacement for Livia Peng. Long ball headed back towards the Bayern box by Michelle Ulbrich. Mühlhaus battling away in midfield against Caruso, who rides the challenge. Well, there's a question in the background there. Wo zweite Stadionspiel? So where's the second stadium match? I think tonight Platz 11 sold out. If anything, they might have even gone over capacity based on some of the pictures we're seeing from behind the Bayern goal. But this is the type of game that would have been worthy of opening the doors of the Weserstadion, where Platz 11 sits in the shadow of. Basically, the Weserstadion is behind the camera we're watching from. One of the few stadiums that you can access by boat here in Germany. Fun fact for you. Mühlhaus, she is part target woman, part technician. Well won back there by Michelle Weiss. Former Bayern reserve player Michelle Weiss said she left Bayern for more game time. Bremen has now become a second home for her. Said she was hoping for a fresh start under Fritzi Kromp, and she got it. Dunst adjudged to a straight offside. Not easy for Simon to deal with. Had a touch for a throw-in. Barbara Dunst in Bayern's last league game out, which did clinch the title for a 4th straight season. She had a horror moment where she gave the ball away to Sophie Weidau, who then broke from the halfway line to score an equaliser after Bayern had broken the deadlock early. But then she had a moment that atoned for the mistake when she made it 2-1. For Bayern, 8-time German champions now. 4th title in a row. Fritzi Kromp called for her side to be brave, to take the game to Bayern, to tap into all of the qualities that have made her side so efficient here on home soil. Intensity, physicality, the willingness to get stuck in, and now a set-piece opportunity taken short. Mara Alba, a touch wasteful there, running into trouble, but Bremen keep themselves on the ball. And then the verticality of that pass made it very difficult indeed. Amala Gross making a rare appearance between the sticks, 95th appearance in her Bayern career. She is now second fiddle in the goalkeeping ranks behind Ena Mahmutovic. But a very quality backup indeed. A woman whose story off the pitch has certainly taken precedent over her story on the pitch since battling back from a cancer diagnosis. Lofted in by Mühlhaus. The loose ball comes to Mara Alba. They're lined up in the middle waiting for a cross, but she's got two for company here, Mara Alba. Digs it out, it goes low, but it lacked pace. Easy for Bayern to defend. Can't keep it in play there. Lena Petermann. She's had a nice positive end to a tough road to recovery. She was out since September of 2024 with a knee injury. Made her comeback earlier this season. Has got a goal to her name against Union Berlin. And today she leads the line with Maya Sternad in front of the Platz Elf faithful who are making themselves heard. They are a passionate footballing fan base, the Werder Bremen fans. Mühlhaus first to the loose ball. Hannah Nemitz closed down by Imade. Ball forward to Sternad, but was coming from an offside position, Maya Sternad. think all of the officials are going to be on high alert after the horror offside decision we saw on Monday night. Hoffenheim, comfortable winners in the end against Köln. A 6-2 win. Stina Cerci with a hat-trick, but one goal definitely should not have stood because she wasn't just an inch offside, she wasn't even a yard offside, she was so far offside it wasn't even funny. Mühlhaus, she is the set-piece specialist in the Bremen ranks. Well, you look at her frame and think that Bremen would want her on the end of those deliveries. Few put them in better positions. Oh, Caruso with the push and a shot from Bremen. Tests Marla Gross from Lena Petermann, but it was all about the afters between Ariana Caruso and I believe Lena Hausiker after a clash in midfield. To be honest, it didn't look like there was much wrong with the challenge, and in the end it was Mara Alba with the shot that did take a deflection. That maybe helped Marla Gross in the end. Lucy Terringer with a bit of a loose touch. Hausiker found Alba. Now Mühlhaus straight into the chest of Magdalena Eriksson. That did look goal-bound, though, from Larissa Mühlhaus. And now, right now, it's Bremen with a bit of a power play phase. Taking the game to Bayern's second string. Imade with the loose pass, looking for Dunst. Alba, she's got D'Angelo ahead of her. Streaming ahead on that left wing. Oh, early cross from Chiara D'Angelo, and that was not the right decision. It certainly wasn't the right execution. Captain's contribution there from Magdalena Eriksson. Got to put your body in harm's way at times, and she is the experienced head, along with Stina Balizaya and Caroline Simon, that will be marshalling this very youthful Bayern starting lineup. Sharif in no rush. Caruso back to Simon. Dunst. Back to Eriksson. A serial title winner with Chelsea in England. And now a serial title winner with Bayern as well, Magdalena Eriksson, former Swedish Footballer of the Year. High press here from Bayern. Evaded well by Bremen, although the ball back to El Sharif. Well, even just a point tonight would be historic for Bremen, because when you look at the historical head-to-head between these two sides, 17 Frauen-Bundesliga meetings, 17 wins for Bayern, 60 goals scored, 4 conceded. But this is a Bremen side, the calibre of which Bayern have rarely faced before, enjoying their best ever Bundesliga campaign in club history. And they held Wolfsburg to a 0-0 draw here at Platz 11. And right now they're frustrating Jose Barcola's side, and it is a second string side. I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner, because when you look at Bayern's second string, it would be the envy of many a Frauen-Bundesliga team. Barbara Dunst, Ariana Caruso, Caroline Simon, Eriksson, Balizaya, all international regulars. But it's understandable that right now Bayern's performance is lacking a little bit of rhythm, because these 11 players have probably rarely ever played a competitive fixture together. We've got two teenagers making their first ever Frauen Bundesliga starts. And Bremen are a side that like to make life uncomfortable. And Fritzi Komp called for her side to get physical, get stuck in on Bayern, rattle them. And while we have been short of goal-scoring opportunities, Bremen will be very happy with the way they're executing their game plan so far. 2 shots apiece, 1 on target apiece. Bayern's opportunity, courtesy of Laila Portela, ultimately more of a clear-cut variety. El Sharif, the Bremen goalkeeper, with a very sharp save to keep it at 0-0. She's such an active head coach on the sidelines. Fritzi Komp, as she is more affectionately known. Sternad trying to turn the corner using her pace and ultimately hauling Eriksson to ground. Eriksson using all of her experience in marshalling the danger there, and Sternad had a good old grip on the wrist, didn't she? Sternad had 99 appearances in all competitions for Bremen, so 1 away from a major milestone. She has been on the losing side against Bayern all too often in Bremen colours. Hopefully everyone brought their sun cream, because chance to top up their tans. Spring has well and truly arrived in Germany now, as the ball given away by Simon. Won back though by Caroline Simon. In the end, it results in a throw into Werder Bremen on this near side. Now Petermann doing well to establish herself in those one-on-one battles. You can see why Fritzi Komp decided to start with her up front instead of Medina Desic. "37 points, 10 wins for Werder Bremen, both club records. Never in their Frauen Bundesliga history had they finished above 7th place, which of course this season would have been enough for a top half of the table finish, but in previous campaigns wasn't. The expansion to 14 teams ultimately was going to open the door for many clubs to set new best marks. Bremen haven't just beaten their record, they have smashed them so far, and they could clinch a top half of the table finish for the first time in club history. Very difficult to argue that they don't deserve it. After tonight, both of these teams with 3 points left in their league seasons, 9 points on offer. Right now, Werder Bremen have an 8-point lead over Freiburg in 7th place, with the point that they're on course for as things stand. But a point tonight would be enough to guarantee themselves a top half of the table finish, and in fact, even a loss would. Because there would not be enough points for Köln to close the gap, and Köln would have to go perfect to even get close to doing that. Let's go Bremen, fight and win. Plenty of what the fans are calling for, and there is the fight that See Sternad win the ball back, and she's done well to evade Luzi Theringer. Now Maya Sternad bears down on goal. Look for Mara Alba, and the killer pass when really the chance had opened up for her. In the end, the offside flag is up on this near side. Alba, it's tight, but does look like she had strayed. Sternad just second-guessed herself when the pocket of space opened up outside the penalty area. She had every chance of just having a crack at goal. Shied away from the situation, and that is the aura that this Bayern side have. Just 8 goals conceded in 22 league matches this season. Unbeaten in all competitions since their only defeat of the campaign. That 7-1 loss to Barcelona in their first Champions League match of the season, and what progress they demonstrated when Barcelona came to the Allianz Arena on Saturday. Maybe when Eva Pajor opened the scoring, everyone thought we were in for a repeat of another high-scoring defeat for the Bavarians. Instead, they fought back. They gave a magnificent account of themselves, buoyed by the home crowd. Franziska Kett, having had one opportunity saved, found an equaliser before she was sent off for the pull of their hair on Paroluelo. Certainly don't think there was any intention from Franziska Kett to pull their hair, but she did catch it. Bianca Recht, the sporting director, talked about the fact that the discussion needs to be had about players that have hair down to their backsides. Felt it was a natural movement, an attempt from Kett to try and maybe just pull the shirt, which does happen across the 90 minutes, but a pull of the hair is not acceptable. And that despite the fact that Kate McCabe got away with it in Arsenal's game against Chelsea in the Women's Champions League the round before. Sternad, oh, yeah, big pull there by Luzi Theringer. Very lucky to escape a booking there for how cynical that foul was. Luzi Theringer. "17 years old, Luzi Theringer. Back in October, she won the Fritz Walter Medaille, being recognised at the under-17 level, winning gold in her age group. The Fritz Walter Medaille, ultimately used to highlight the best young talents in German football, men's and women's. And Chiara D'Angelo scored a stunning goal against Germany, albeit a consolation effort in a 5-1 loss in that first World Cup qualifier between the two neighbouring nations. Theringer spotted the opportunity to step out well. Now the ball through for Petermann, but Gross quickly off her line to snuff out the danger, though I think the offside flag might have been raised anyway. Caruso. Not the best ball from Stina Balizaya there, as she caught Dunst on her heels. Lovely ball by El Sharif to pick out Michelle Weiss. Unfortunately, she can't follow suit. Pinged straight down the other end, and it might break now for Caruso, looking to thread the needle for Dunst, who's swapped flanks with Padilla Bidas. Maybe a tactical inflection there, and highlighting the flexibility that this Bayern side have under Jose Barcola. But given the fact they haven't had a lot of joy going forward, maybe he wanted to see whether his wingers could make a bigger impact on the opposite flank. Natalia Padilla-Bidas, 2 goals in the Frauen Bundesliga in her bit part appearances, but now featuring from the off. And Maya Sternad now, for the 2nd time in quick succession, finds herself in a very promising position and provides a very wasteful pass at the end of it. Bremen need to seize upon these opportunities because Bayern are affording them. A lot more individual errors in the Bayern performance than we're used to seeing. Alba. Shifted out wide to Sternad. Now looking for a better ball, but she just played it a touch too early because Petermann was making the right run, but the pass didn't match. Jose Barkler, the man who called for Bayern to always present themselves as Champions League winners every time they take to the pitch. Said he dreams of being on the sidelines when Bayern do eventually win the Champions League title that he believes is inevitable. I don't think anyone thought they'd have a crack at it in his first season. Barcelona might still have a lot to say on home soil. Oh, nice touch and turn. It might break for Petermann. Fizzes the ball back in, and it's going to be a corner to Werder Bremen. Eriksson stepped out well. Bremen starting to find an attacking rhythm. Now it's about finding a way past Bayern's back line, which is full of top class talent and international pedigree. Mühlhaus floats it in deep. Oh, there's a woman over Lena Petermann, ended up kicking the ball into her own face, I think. Something caught the attention of the referee. Magdalena Eriksson is not happy with perhaps the way that Bremen are jostling in the box. It was Eriksson that went to ground. That was why the whistle was blown by the referee, Lara Wolf. Imade does well to hold off the challenge of Michelle Ulbrich. Hasn't had a lot of touches tonight so far. Edna Imade not been involved in the game the way we know she can be. Simon clipped, but caught offside as well. Well, they're having fun in the sun so far, the Bremen fans. Who can blame them? What a glorious evening for a game of football. They're giving a good account of themselves. Maybe, just maybe, Platz Elf can provide the X factor. Sternad trying to cut inside, nice idea. Simon with a touch on the ball that stopped her in her tracks. Now Mühlhaus takes on Simon, squeezes the ball through but can't find a teammate. Ulbrich does well to win the header. And the Werder Bremen fans are asking where the second stadium match of the season is for their side at the Weserstadion. As we see here, that could have been given as a handball, but it did come off the thigh of Larissa Mühlhaus, which if you're a Bayern fan, men and women's, then you'll know that that's a bit of a contentious talking point after what happened in the Champions League last night. The penalty given against Alphonso Davies in that incredible match of football. But our thoughts here on the Frauen Bundesliga is Mühlhaus! Well, stung the palms of Marla Groß and doesn't get the corner. How on earth? Well, we could hear the touch of the gloves there from the Bayern goalkeeper. First real sight of goal that Mühlhaus has had. Fitted into a little pocket of space, drove, and there was a touch from Marla Groß. It should have been a Bremen corner, but not given. Two goals she needs tonight if she wants to go level at the top of the goal-scoring charts with Selina Cerci. One would be enough to move level with Fudala and Pernilla Harder. You never know, might enter this encounter later on in the game. I'd imagine that Jose Barcola has a plan when it comes to keeping his players in rhythm, whilst also affording them a well-earned rest. Oh, that's a lovely ball. Petermann was ghosting in behind, but Groß was also alert to the danger. Alba with a chance to cross. Naschenweng with the block. Naschenweng returning from a stint on the sidelines through injury. She is a left back by trade, featuring at right back today. Is a little better suited to dealing with some of the star-studded ensemble that Barcelona boast. Mühlhaus taking on Eriksson and drawing the foul from the Swede. Well, she is proving a handful for Magdalena Eriksson, and Eriksson certainly had a handful of her arm, her shoulder, her kit, you name it. Now Bayern München with their title win this season. They have drawn level with Wolfsburg and 1. FFC Frankfurt as the joint record title holders in the Frauen Bundesliga era. One more title and they would be joint record title holders all time in German women's football. Bergisch Gladbach, a now defunct team, hold the title with 9. Make no mistake about it, that's where Bayern are aspiring to be. Another Mühlhaus corner for Bayern to defend. Again, it goes long. Again, there's a woman over. Oh, and Hauseke. It looked like she got caught in two minds there. Does she take a touch and set herself with a shot, or does she try and play it first time back into the danger area? In the end, she did neither. course, to Eriksson. Bayern having to work hard for any advances into the Bremen half. Some of the Bayern subs finding unique ways to keep themselves shaded from the sunlight. Certainly won't be going to Barcelona to top up the tans. This side mean business. After that 1-1 draw in the first leg and the good account they gave in themselves, the opportunity is there to pull off the upset. Naschenbeng, that's a lovely touch that goes past Nemeth. Naschenbeng! Fierce strike that stings the thighs of Hannah Nemeth. Lovely play by the Austrian, who's had such a torrid time with injuries in her Bayern career. Whether it be knee ligament tears, ankle knocks, twists. The hope is now, after a long road to recovery from knee surgery, that she can build towards maybe having a full season under her belt in the next campaign. Caroline Simon with the corner. It's a little low. Ball was loose, but fortunately for Bremen, Stennad was first to it. Mara Alba now with a touch into space. She's only got Mühlhaus up in support. Mara Alba on loan from Chelsea, goes it alone, shot blocked. Weiss can't get there ahead of Simon, who puts it out of touch for a throw-in. Didn't want to run any risks there, Caroline Simon, but throw-in taken quickly. Back to Weiss. Weiss digs out the cross, but Balizaya was marshalling the danger of Peterman, and Eriksson won the header. Back to Weiss. Sends it in again. It's over the head of Peterman. Balizaya with her head to the ball this time. And it broke kindly for Marla Gauls and not Mara Alba. And the early rollout from Gauls has Portela pushing forward, finding Dunst. Lila Portela. Best chance of the game from the Bayern perspective for the young 18-year-old starting debutante. Had made one appearance as a Bayern player before tonight, but this is her first ever league start. Everyone having a bit of a nibble there. Sternad on Caruso, Caruso on Sternad, but it's the Italian that's penalised. And that will be something that I'm sure Fritzi Kromp, the Bremen head coach, will be delighted with. The way her side have managed to rattle the Bayern cage and never let them really settle into the game. If anything, Bremen have done a better job of establishing their rhythm than Bayern have, and I don't think we can say that about any other game this season, even the only league match in which they've dropped points before tonight, and that 0-0 draw against Karl Zeiss Jena. Mara Alba, she's drifted to the right wing now. Cheeky reverse pass to Peterman across goal, and Mühlhaus was ready and waiting, but she's beaten to the ball by Marla Gauls. Better build-up play from Bremen in the final third. It still doesn't produce the chance at the end of it, but it'll be the hosts, Werder, who are much the happier side at half-time on a night they're looking to preserve their unbeaten home record this season against A Bayern side unbeaten in the league in the current campaign. Bayern's heavily rotated side are struggling to assert themselves against Bremen, and as a result, it is 0-0 at the break at Platz 11.
Geil, wo ist ja. Ich bring die Bälle gleich zurück zu denen.
Hello and welcome back everyone to Platz 11 on the banks of the River Weser in the north of Germany, where the sun is setting, but the action is set to be hotting up in the second half. Jose Barkala and his Bayern side dreaming of a treble, the first ever in club history, to build on the first ever domestic double they won last season. This his debut campaign, and tonight a warm-up act against Werder Bremen ahead of that decisive second leg against Barcelona in the Women's Champions League semi-finals, with Bayern looking to book their ticket to the final of that competition for the first time ever in club history. As a result, he made 11 changes to his side, and as a result, there's been a lack of rhythm and a lack of proficiency in the Bayern performance so far. Werder Bremen have looked the better team. They've had the better chances, with the exception of one for Laila Portela, the young 18-year-old making her first ever start as a Bayern player tonight. And yet it's 0-0, deadlocked, as we get ready for the second half to get underway. Can Werder Bremen hold on to this result, or maybe improve upon it as they look to preserve their unbeaten record on home soil this season? Bayern have only dropped points once in the league all campaign. That was a 0-0 draw against Carl Zeiss Jena. Could lightning perhaps strike twice here at Platz 11? Fritzi Komp, the Werder Bremen head coach, admitted that this is the sandwich game for Bayern between their two matches against Barcelona, but said that Bremen want to make sure that they're not a nice tasting sandwich. They want to leave a bad taste in the mouth of the freshly minted champions. Daniel Thune, the head coach of the Werder men's side, in attendance. Bremen, the women, set to finish in the top half of the table for the first time in club history. Bremen's men still battling against relegation, with a few games remaining in the season. And again, Bremen's battling qualities coming to the fore in the opening exchanges of this second half, as they did throughout the whole of the first half. There's some nice play in there as well from the women in green. They've done a lot of their best work in transition, but like you see there, some of the passes need to be a little bit more on point if they really want to punish this Bayern side. Luzi Zeringer, the highly coveted 17-year-old who's seen one of the top young German talents in the women's game, committing another foul. Larissa Mühlhaus ready to whip it in. It's a good delivery as well, and it was there to be attacked. Comes back out to Chiara D'Angelo. Ran the risk there by trying to take on her woman, and now the break for Bayern is on, and it's played through by Caruso to Dunst. Dunst takes a touch that allows Bremen to recover the positions. Now Caruso, two white shirts in the box to aim for. Instead, Dunst tried to get a little too cute with the pass. A bit like Bremen's best moves, some of Bayern's best have broken down due to poor passes at the end of them as well. Well, the Bremen fans have certainly been worthy of all 3 points tonight. They have really enjoyed what they've seen here on home soil this season from their side. 7 wins, 4 draws, including that 0-0 against Wolfsburg, where Bremen did have chances to sneak the win. Tonight, again, the opportunity to, for the first time ever, take points off of Bayern München. There you can see some of the renovations being done at Platz 11 to try and expand the capacity of the women's home ground. But this is a fan base that need more space for themselves. They'd like to see the women take to the pitch at the Weserstadion a little bit more often. Imade on the turn, Zeringer able to get the shot off, and it's just over from Luzi Zeringer. That would have been quite a way to mark her first ever Frauen-Bundesliga start by breaking the deadlock in a game in which Bayern have struggled to carve out goal-scoring opportunities. First time anyone's really had that little pocket of space not too far from goal, and Zeringer always leaning backwards, and as a result the shot was always rising. Stand up for the SVW, SV Werder Bremen, the little three-letter acronym that German clubs like to use, and SVW is the one that is attributed to Werder Bremen. Luzi Zeringer's shot, arguably one of a warning variety. Naschenweng. Something tells me she will be the likelier to get the nod at starting at left back on Sunday. But for a woman who's barely gotten any game time due to injuries this season, certainly being thrown into the deep end a touch against the Spanish giants. That's a nice ball for Petermann, but the flag was up quickly. Just strayed. The Bremen striker. She has been trying to make that run off the shoulder of the last woman all evening, though. All it takes is one pass to find its mark, and Petermann might be able to pose Bayern a real problem. That poor pass has posed a problem now. Simon, does she win the foot race? She gets there, but concedes the corner. See some of the frustrations there for Caroline Simon. Someone who holds very high standards out on the football pitch for herself and her team. There's too many errant passes right now from the Bayern ranks. What can Mühlhaus do from this corner? It's another good delivery, and it's met well by Petermann. Couldn't get it through all the bodies. On the volley again. Lara Schmidt's forced away from goal. Cross blocked. Settles for the throw-in, Lara Schmidt. Bremen are on the front foot here. Now they need to turn it into something. Loose ball breaks with Padilla Bidas, and now Bayern again can stretch their legs in transition. Dunst. A letdown there for Barbara Dunst and Bayern. Hasn't had it easy since making that long-awaited return from knee ligament tear. An injury that she sustained shortly after it was announced that she'd be joining the Munich-based club. Jose Barkala happy to have an option, the quality of Barbara Dunst. At the same time, without being too harsh on Dunst, you watch her performances and it really highlights how timely the return of Clara Bühler has been from injury. Came off the bench against Union Berlin last week. set up Julia Gavin for the winning goal that clinched the Frauen Bundesliga title for Bayern. And then she produced a player of the match performance at the Allianz Arena against Barcelona, the side that she was so heavily linked with last season before signing a contract extension with Bayern. Clara Bühl, without question, one of the best in the world when it comes to the beautiful game, and she does play it beautifully. 7 goals, 13 assists in the Frauen Bundesliga for Clara Bühl. Extraordinary numbers. 8 goals and 21 assists in all competitions. Throw down the line, Imade can't get there. But will put pressure on Ulbrich. Can't afford a mistake here, but she's giving it away cheaply to Dunst. Dunst to Caruso. Imade's got space out wide. Cross tees in, Portela is there! She glances her header wide though. Lila Portela, the 18-year-old, in her first ever Frauen Bundesliga start, has had the best 2 sights of goal that Bayern have fashioned all evening. The first save by El Sharif in the first half. And that one, the header wide of the target. But it is interesting though, between Zeringer, the 17-year-old, and Portela, the 18-year-old, those are the 3 best chances that Bayern have had. Coming courtesy of the players making their debuts in the starting lineup, as Caruso gets booked here for 1, 2, 3 fouls, not just the one in isolation. But it is interesting though, between Zeringer, the 17-year-old, and Portela, the 18-year-old, those are the 3 best chances that Bayern have had. Coming courtesy of the players making their debuts in the starting lineup, as Caruso gets booked here for 1, 2, 3 fouls, not just the one in isolation. But it does feel like in the Frauen Bundesliga, Bayern have never been more beatable than they are tonight. Even in the game against Kaisai Siena, that 0-0 draw at the Bayern campus, they racked up over 30 shots on goal. And on another occasion, they might have won 4, 5, 6, 7-0. Kaisai Siena literally rode all their luck for as long as they could to the final whistle to clinch a historic point for their club, one that ultimately might not be enough to help them survive the drop this season. A central position for this free kick, won by Natalia Padilla-Bidas. Simon will have to get delicate with the delivery, and does, but even a delicate delivery isn't enough to find a Bayern teammate. El Sharif with the early goal kick, and Maya Sternad. First touch wasn't great, but she really made it work against Naschenweng, who had a nibble, but no foul in the eyes of the referee. And now the chance. Oh, cross goal for Imade, but some desperate defending for Bremen spares their blushes, but Bayern are starting to find their attacking groove now. And the spaces that weren't there in the first half are starting to open up in the second. Caruso, the vision and the execution on that pass to pick out the run of Padilla Bidas, and Imade was ready and waiting. But Michel Ulbrich got there first. If anything, there might have been a touch of the ball off the boot of El Sharif, at which point, again, it's another quality contribution from Mariella El Sharif. And now with less than an hour played, some of the Bayern big guns are coming off the bench. Pernilla Harder, Georgia Stanway, and Franziska Kett come on for the final half an hour and change. And this will now be the real battle for Bremen. When Bayern can dip into a star-studded bench that have fresh legs, can Bremen, who have left it all out on the pitch at Platzelf so far, still muster up the energy needed to see this result over the line. And now Padilla Bidas! And this time she goes for goal herself and gets it. And it's not the Bayern big guns that have just come off the bench that have provided the breakthrough, but Natalia Padilla Bidas, her third league goal of the season, capitalising on a rare start. And Bremen's resilience is broken by the champions. Pernilla Harder wins the initial header. Instant impact. Oh, not really, actually. I don't think it is Pernilla Harder that wins there. I think it's Hausiker that nods it into the path of Padilla Bidas. Oh, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, it looks like. Either way, Bayern are in front. Oh, Peterman with the right idea with that pass, but well read by Franziska Kett. No complaints about that decision from the referee. The foul on the goal scorer. Let me correct myself, it's the fourth goal of the season for Natalia Padilla Bidas, because she scored in both fixtures against Nürnberg in the first half of the season and the second. There was a goal in the 5-0 win against Essen as well, and now 3 goals in her last 3 games in the Frauen Bundesliga for the 23-year-old Polish international. Has had a lot of loan spells away from Bayern. She has been a role player this season, but she has played that role to near perfection, Natalia Padilla Bidas. Wasn't much that Mariella El Sharif could do about the goal scored by Bayern. That's the life of a Bremen goalkeeper. Come to the rescue 1, 2, 3 times, but the one time you don't could prove so costly in a game like this against the league leaders. The 4-time defending champions, the 8-time German champions. Who now have the lead they've been looking for. Chance to get their 22nd win of the season. The fans are still singing to the heavens, though. Changes for the home side as Petermann is replaced by Medina Desic. A woman who does have a history of scoring important equalisers against Bayern. Or I should say at least important goals against Bayern that lead to draws. So if I'm not mistaken, it was her goal for Nuremberg a couple of seasons back that held Bayern at 1-1. Bit of a surprising result back in the 23-24 campaign. And she did. She scored the equaliser from the spot after Pernille Harder and Lea Schuller had broken the deadlock. Now Franziska Kett. Ooh, taken down, and there wasn't a lot of the ball in that challenge. Lara Wolf points to the spot. It did look like a rash challenge on Franziska Kett from Hannah Nemeth. Let's see if she got a touch of the ball here, the Hungarian. Oh, no, she swung her leg at it. She's very close to getting a touch, but in the end, she kind of chops her leg over it and just takes Kett out at the ankles. Now Franziska Kett won't be on the pitch in the second leg against Barcelona. She has won a penalty here, and Pernille Harder steps up for what would be her 15th league goal of the season to go joint top of the goal-scoring charts with Selina Cerci. It's Harder against El Sharif, and she goes straight down the middle. A quick-fire double whammy as Bayern doubled their advantage, and Pernille Harder came off the bench, provided the headed assist for the first goal, scores from the spots with the second. That's what you talk about, an impact substitution from one of the best forwards in the business and one of the greatest players to ever grace Germany's top flight. She's twice won the Torjägerkanone in the past with Wolfsburg. She scored 17 goals in the 2017-18 campaign. It was 27 in the 2019-20 season. And now she makes it 15 for the current campaign. And the other thing worth mentioning about that penalty from Pernille Harder is that Bayern have now set a new club record for most goals scored in a single season. Their previous best was 121 in the 2020-21 season, back during the COVID times, when the fans weren't maybe able to revel in their goal-scoring exploits. This season, they've now got 122 in all competitions, a new club record for a team that keep going from strength to strength to strength in recent seasons. And ultimately, there's no sign of things slowing down. Tonight, they're proving that even with a heavily rotated side, they can still get the better and find a route to victory against Werder Bremen. Free kick to Bayern now. Caroline Simon to whip it in. Sunglasses needed. Nice move by Ket. And, excuse me, it's Pernilla Harder. With movement like that, I should have known better, actually. She doesn't get a head on the ball, and now the break is on for Bremen. Return pass needed. Meyer Sternad doesn't produce it. And in the end, the stumble proves so costly as Stanway scrambles clear. Actually has been one of the most positive players on the pitch at Platz Elf, Meyer Sternad. But a bit like Werder Bremen as a whole, they have lacked end product against Jose Barcala's side. Glóris Vigosdóttir says, no, you can keep the armband, Magdalena Eriksson, but she is off the bench to replace Stina Balizaya. Now, how much fight can Bremen muster up now for the final just under 20 minutes? Their unbeaten home record, not surprisingly, slipping through their grasp here against the best team in the country. A special side producing a special season in Jose Barcala's first in charge. Oh, that was not a special challenge from Georgia Stanway, though. Rather nasty one on Larissa Mühlhaus, who in the aftermath has taken a heavy fall. Well, this is Larissa Mühlhaus's penultimate performance at Platz Elf. Hopefully, she'll get a chance to provide a highlight or two in her final game. That comes on the penultimate weekend, match day 25, when rock-bottom Karsai Siena will come to the north of Germany, and you'd imagine there will be opportunities for Mühlhaus to get her name on the score sheet against the side that have the worst defensive record in the league, and one of the main reasons that they are inches from being relegated, still clinging on by the skin of their teeth. 9 points left to play for, and they are 7 behind Hamburg and the safety of 12th place. Essen ahead of them on 15 points. Be a shame to lose Essen or Hamburg. It'll be a shame to lose Karsai Siena, but then with the exception of that 0-0 draw against Bayern, they haven't really shown enough to suggest that they could survive, despite some tenacious performances. A lack of quality for a team that do still have part-timers in their ranks. But when it comes to Essen, Hamburg, or maybe even Nuremberg, who aren't out of the woods just yet on 19 points, we're either going to lose Essen, who are the team that have been flying the flag as the only all-women's side in Germany's top flight in recent seasons. Or you're going to lose a Hamburg team that are averaging over 10,000 fans on average at the Volksparkstadion. Or Nuremberg, who have a pretty good fan base of their own in the north of Bavaria. But those are the bitter blows of life in the top flight. And right now it's Essen that look the likeliest to be relegated, along with Karsai Siena. Imade, good strength by Imade, and a cynical foul there by Hausiger. Bites back against Kett. That was a clean foul, but it was brought back for the challenge on Imade, and a booking for Lina Hausiger, who taking out some of her frustrations now on the Bayern players in an illegal manner. And with his side 2-0 up, just over a quarter of an hour remaining, a debut. And I hold the thought, because Glorious is offside and doesn't make it 3-0. Oh, they thought they had found a third there, Bayern, but the lineswoman on this near side proves the party pooper, and well, very easy decision that she definitely got right. If it had been left to harder, the goal would have stood. Claudius a little over-eager there, but understandable. So to go back to the point I was going to make, Marie Gmeineder comes on, the 18-year-old, for her first ever appearance as a Bayern player. Support your local women's team. Well, they've come out in strong support tonight, and they're still in fine voice despite the 2-0 scoreline in Bayern's favour, because again, the Bremen fans know to take this result with a pinch of salt. Yes, it's their first home loss of the season, but if they were going to lose at home to anyone, of course it was going to be a Bayern team that have only dropped points once in 23 league matches now in this title-winning campaign. But Bremen have given a brilliant account of themselves, much like they did in the DFB Pokal final between these two last season. 4-2 win for Bayern on that occasion as they clinched the domestic double. There's a lot to like about this Bremen team. And a very strong foundation has been built by Fritzi Kromp in her first season in charge. The question is, how much will that foundation crack with Larissa Mühlhaus leaving to join Frankfurt? Because any team, even Bayern, would struggle to compensate with the loss of a player like Larissa Mühlhaus. She's that influential and that good. Claudius will pick up the ball here and recycle things for Bayern. And the Bayern fans, who have made the long trip up to the north of Germany, a good old 8 hours in the car if you're lucky with traffic. Of course, I would imagine many might have resorted to using the train, but then that's never as reliable as you want it to be. But it's the Bayern fans having a little bit more fun in the sun. Hannah Nemeth with that costly challenge that produced a Bayern penalty that arguably put this game beyond reach. Eriksson, loose ball. Picked up by Lara Schmidt, holds off the challenge of Harder. Lara Schmidt loses out against Stanway. Too much pace on the pass from Hausiker. Amira Arfawi ready to enter the fray for Chiara D'Angelo. Tough night for the young Austrian fullback. Often had to deal with Naschenbeng and Padilla Bidas on her own, or when Dunst swaps flanks, it was Barbara Dunst she had to keep quiet. Look at the upcoming games, the final 3 of the season for Werder Bremen. Chance to add to their record-breaking campaign against Köln, Jena, and then closing out the season on foreign soil against Leverkusen. How many points will they end the campaign with? That is the question. 37 to their name. Last season it was 29, and that was already a club record. They have smashed it this season. Final 3 league games for Bayern. 2 games in which they will have a say in the race for 3rd place. Frankfurt and Hoffenheim come to the campus, and then they go to the Volkspark Stadion for a highlight game for Hamburg at the end of the season. But how much of a highlight will it be if Hamburg are still battling relegation on the final day? Now Dunst breaking between the lines. Ball fed out wide to Harder. Dunst offers the angle. Harder 1-on-1 with Ulbrich. Former teammates at the back end of last season. And Ulbrich just muscling Harder out of play. Now you have to be at your very best when dealing with the talents of Pernilla Harder. And Ulbrich certainly did well there. Bremen would love a consolation effort and something to show for their efforts this evening, but the chances for the home side have really dried up. Bayern have gone up a gear, albeit not the top gear in this second half. Lena Hausiger has produced another of those trademark no-nonsense performances in midfield, the Bremen captain. She's taken a chunk out of a few of the Bayern players in the process. harder, given space to work with, which is always dangerous. The 1-2 was nice, but couldn't take it in stride. I think she tried to get the first time shots off, and it lacked pace or power to truly trouble Mariella El Sharif. A unique quality of Platz Elf. They've got genuine woodwork. The frame of the goal is made out of wood. Even to the bitter end, the minor details that can prove so decisive in a football match are debated. For Bayern, as mentioned, a new record set for the club with now 122 goals in all competitions. In the Frauen Bundesliga, they've scored 2 or more in 22 of 23 matches. That 0-0 draw with Jena, the outlier, as Padilla Bidas now with a chance to maybe get it third. Shot block, Ket on the follow-up, suffers the same fate. Bayern have scored 3 or more in 19 of their previous 22 before tonight. Truly remarkable numbers put up by Jose Barkala and his star-studded ensemble. Despite the 2-0 lead, still some discontent in the Bayern ranks. Simon with the corner. Deep delivery, back post. Attacked by Eriksson. Fawi challenged by Stanway. Bayern now come forward with Stanway. Cheeky pass to Dunst. Dunst into the box and not cleared. Stanway just doesn't break kindly for a Bayern player in the end. Now the stun is still beaming down on the fans at Platz Elf. And unfortunately for Werder Bremen, there really was a distinct lack of fight after they fell 2-0 down, but then better side than they have fallen foul of that fate against this overwhelming, dominant and oftentimes demoralizing Bayern side, who just know how to sap the energy and willpower out of an opponent. There's an element of them doing that here tonight against Werder Bremen. And still the chance. Let's go Bremen, fight and win. There's been a lot of fight even if they aren't going to win. It will be a first home defeat since a 2-1 loss against Köln on the 4th of May last year. And that is something not to be taken for granted for this Bremen side. Imade went to the byline, went down under the challenge, and it's a corner, though truth be told, I think Weiss was running the risk of conceding a penalty there if she wasn't careful. And truth be told, she wasn't careful with that challenge. Samade was not really exactly in a position of any real danger. Tipped in harder. Oh, it was an awkward hider. She flashed her knee at it, but can't move on to 16 goals for the season. Would be the icing on the cake for her personally if she were to win the Torjägerkanone for the 3rd time in her Frauen-Bundesliga career, and 1st time as a Bayern player, having done it twice with Wolfsburg. Awkward bounce. Ket gets there first. Harder gives chase. El Sharif deals with the danger. Seconds remaining in normal time. The officials weren't very generous with time added on at the end of the first half. I don't think they'll be that generous at the end of the second half either. No need to prolong the inevitable here. Three minutes extra on top of the 90. Bayern's title celebrations will continue. 7th title in the single division Frauen-Bundesliga era that started in 1997. Joint record title holders with Frankfurt and Wolfsburg. 8 titles if you go back to 1974, where Germany's top tier was founded. One shy of the all-time record held by Bergisch Gladbach, who are now defunct and won't be adding to their 9 titles won. Bayern, will they add a 9th next season and 5th in a row? Or can someone find a way to battle back and break their dominant grip on Germany's top flight? It's a well-deserved dominant grip, but it is a dominant grip that will be difficult for the rest of the league to relinquish. Now, Fritzi Kromp will be able to point to a lot of positives from this performance, even if it doesn't show on the scoreline. Because, again, it's an outing against the best team in the country that shows the progress her side have made in her debut campaign. And again, that was not to be taken for granted when Thomas Horsch left the club after 9 years in the summer. Smart signings. Kromp's found the magic touch with some of her decision-making. Start of a bright future for Werder Bremen that looks like it might be one that sees them establish themselves in the top half of the Frauen-Bundesliga. At one point there was a chance they might even challenge for a top 3 finish, but their attempts tailed off while other teams like Frankfurt and Hoffenheim came on stronger. But still a big, huge step forward for Werder Bremen in the current campaign. Well, it was the filling in Bayern's Spanish sandwich. And unfortunately, Werder Bremen see their unbeaten home record come to an end. They failed to leave a sour taste in the mouths of Jose Barcola and company. He made 11 changes to his starting lineup. Bayern lacked rhythm in the first half, but when they brought some big guns off the bench, It had the desired impact. Pernille Harder, a super sub with an assist and a goal, her 15th of the season from the spot. And in the end, Bayern doing what champions do, heavily rotated, not at their best, and yet they forge a path to victory. The final score at Platz Elf, it's Bremen 0, Bayern 2. Well, a game that was worth the wait. It was meant to take place in February. Postponed due to snowy conditions. Today we basked in the early spring sunshine in the north of Germany. Werder Bremen, 7 wins, 4 draws on home soil before tonight, before welcoming the league leaders and now 4-time defending champions to their home ground. And if they were going to lose any home match, it was likely to be the one against Bayern. But they gave a really good account of themselves against a heavily rotated Bayern side. They were stubborn. They had their chances in the first half, just couldn't take them. And in the end, Bayern were able to dip into their star-studded ensemble on the bench. And those big hitters made a big difference in the final half an hour. Pernille Harder, chief amongst them. There was a debut in the starting lineup for Lucy Theringer and Laila Portela. There was a Bayern debut for Marie Gmeineder, as you saw her share a few words there with Magdalena Eriksson. All in all, a nice trip to the north of Germany for Bayern. Bremen battled. They gave as good as they've got. But this record-breaking season doesn't include the scalp of the champions. James Surrogate, your match commentator, thanks for joining. We'll be back on the weekend, on Friday night, for action on match day 24 in the Frauen Bundesliga. For now, the final score here is Werder Bremen 0, Bayern München 2.